Hey guys, you're welcome. Keep coming in. Keep coming in. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're enjoying your Sunday. Is it going okay? Today, thanks for joining me on this your normal migration series. Today, we're talking about how to migrate to Portugal. Portugal. I've received a lot of direct messages in my inbox asking me, "What about Portugal? What about Portugal? Get someone to talk about Portugal." So I found someone who would be telling us how it is in Portugal, moving to Portugal, and all it entails. Okay. Remember to follow me across all social media platforms. It's Wakawaka Doctor on Instagram, on Twitter, on my YouTube channel where I document all this for you. On my YouTube channel, you have over 16, 17 different countries you can move to: Canada, Norway, Poland, Finland, Ireland, Japan, China, US, Norway. I've spoken about different countries: Poland, Georgia, so you can look them up. But today, we're talking about Portugal. So I'm going to bring our guest up so that we just go right on. Okay, just get right to it. It's Portugal. Speak Portuguese.
Oh, I'm
Hey,
here. Hi,
how are you?
I'm fine. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. How do you say good evening in Portuguese?
Well, at this time, it's like saying good night, bonne nuit, which is like
Bon
good
nuit.
night.
Okay, that's close to
Yeah,
French.
but
That's
yeah,
similar.
it's pretty close. Yeah, but you
Pretty
can say
close.
both hard if it's still bright, which is like good
Okay.
afternoon, good evening-ish. Yeah.
Okay. Um, I'm a United fan, so we have one Portuguese in our team right now, Bruno Fernandes. Messed
Nice.
up tonight. I'm not in the mood to talk about him and the team. So let's
I
brighten
kind
it
of,
up a little bit. Let's talk about moving to Portugal. How long have you been in Portugal now?
I've been here for 2.5 years now.
Two and
I
a
moved
half
to
years.
Italy.
That's enough experience to tell us about Portugal. Thanks for taking out the time. So we'll get right onto it. Tell us a little bit about Portugal. Where exactly is Portugal? What's the weather like? What's the food like? How is Portugal generally? Talk to us.
Okay, so Portugal is an European nation, and it's kind of like in south of Europe, and kind has a maritime border with African country like Morocco. So it's southern Portugal, close to Africa, southern Europe, close to Africa, and then there's a population of 10 million and about 150 cities, I think, and the capital is Lisbon. That's the one most people know. And
I've been to
contrary to
Lisbon
that,
myself.
yes, you have. Okay, cool. And then Portugal is beyond Cristiano Ronaldo. That's one thing I'm going to tell you guys. Disclaimer here. You know? So yeah, the weather is pretty nice. I mean, it kind of emphasizes that closeness to Africa, where if you're moving to Portugal, you can still have a feel of the heat, and it's not so cold. I mean, the minimum it gets to here is about 4 degrees, which is on the bad days, and it's usually in the middle of the night. But for the average African that moves to Portugal, they find it easy to blend. So it has a really good weather. I'd say top 10 in Europe, with them. Yeah, it has a really good one with them, Malta and all.
Okay.
And then what else? What else? What else? What else?
What's the
The
currency like?
food. We spend euros, so it's just general
So
euros.
you're saying that from Morocco we can just trek inside and
No, it's a maritime border, so it's you have to fly through water. Like there's water demarcating it, but yeah. So it's
okay.
just a maritime border. The main borders are Spain, so that's you can walk into Spain or just ride one quick train. But yeah,
Okay.
the food is really good. I mean, there's quite a traditional cuisine. Like the culture is pretty, detailed on culture and tradition. So they
Rich. I
they
know.
encourage a lot of nature. There's a lot of fish. I mean, the fish
Yes.
life is
I had this
amazing.
very fantastic sea bass when I went to
Yeah.
Lisbon.
Oh,
Super
nice.
nice. Yeah.
Really cool. Yeah, yeah. And then they also have like a family lifestyle with their feeding. So they spend a lot of time on lunch, on dinners. So there's that full traditional environment around their feeding. Then what else? Language is Portuguese. I mean, everyone speaks Portuguese. You have about 32% people speaking English, but because it's mostly a tourist nation, it is a tourist nation. You have them encouraging the environment to speak English because English is more general. So
Awesome.
most people do learn English as a criteria in schools when they're growing up. So you can always find English around you. It's
English.
never a problem. Yeah.
Okay.
What else?
Awesome.
The
Thank you.
RT is good. So yeah.
Well,
Okay.
thank you very much. Now, let me ask you this question. How did you get to Portugal?
Okay. First of all, well, Portugal for me was I got to Portugal from choosing a course. So I wanted to study a particular course and I was looking for the cheapest schools that could offer me that course and also give me the benefit of some, double degree type of thing. So the course I wanted comes with like a UK certification program and it also comes with a Portuguese master's program. So when I searched through that course, they kind of linked me to different schools. So I picked Portugal and it was really the most affordable for me and it was just automatic, very
Okay,
quick.
so what can you talk us through the process? Talk us through the process. How did you do it? Where were you
Okay.
before? Were you working? What were you doing? Were you in school? You finish school? How did you do it?
Okay, so at first I finished the bachelor's in Nigeria. I went to Unilag and then I was serving. And while I was serving towards the end of my service, I applied for a master's. So that way, after the NYC was done, it was just a transition from here. So I finished NYC in like May, and then I moved to Portugal in September. So what I mostly did was apply in January, which was while my NYC was still on, and I just applied to the school. So directly, most applications are direct to the schools, giving what you specifically want. So I just did through that, and then I went through the process. For me, it was pretty seamless. But
So
there are other ways.
how did you find the school? What was it like? Did you have to sift through schools? Was there a website to do the application? How did you go about it?
Okay, so from my personal experience, I
Mm.
wanted one certification. It's a UK certification. And if you go to that UK site, they kind of tell you the schools that offer the waiver programs, right? So, but most times when you want to like come to Portugal as a neutral person, there are usually study portals and master portals that you can normally just go online and you find schools that are specifically, English speaking for international students because they do have a number of colonies that, and a bunch of Africans that come around, people from Angola, Mozambique, Cape
Yeah,
Verde,
Cape Verde. Yeah.
they kind of encourage that integral framework for Blacks and Africans as well. So then they also like bring in Brazilians, Chinese, and all of that. And there are a couple of programs that teach English. So there's a general program that is called an Erasmus Mundus program. So it's kind of just for international students. There's the Erasmus and then there's the Erasmus Plus. So that's one, you can just go to Erasmus on Google and type it in. You see a bunch of scholarship oriented program for international students. So that's like one major way that most international students come in. So I
Okay.
think that's
Awesome.
like general.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I had something like this. What that was respect to Canada. We talked about the different routes to get into Canada. So we talked about the express entry, academic route, and other ones. What are the ways, for which people can get to Portugal if they want to? What are the different routes?
Okay. Okay, so well, the first common obvious route is usually a master's program, given that you have a bachelor's and they can easily evaluate you from your grade points when they convert it. So most people usually use the master's to get in, not bachelor's because they speak Portuguese, which is a bit tight. So yeah, so when you after then I think you also have something called a startup visa, so for mostly entrepreneurial, the entrepreneurial ecosystem, tech and innovation, finance, fintech, all of that, they have some visas that when you can show, that room for innovation, you can actually apply to an incubator and you can come in through that. So there's that program as well. Then there is if you get an employment from an employee, you can apply to jobs and then they can give you an invitation, the normal, yeah. And then what other routes? Yeah, I think those are the major three routes. Then there's also the golden visa, which is very
Okay.
expensive. So the golden visa is just kind of like an investment visa where you have to show, where you have to drop some amount of euros, a lot of euros, and that one kind of automatically guarantees you residence. So just like the startup visa, it's also a very easy way to guarantee residence and entrance into Portugal naturally. Then masters as well. So yeah, those are like.
How easy is it for people to get working visas from Nigeria, say apply for jobs to Portugal?
Do you mean jobs directly or after a master's?
Job direct, both of them.
Okay, so for job directly, right? So one thing I know about Portugal is there's quite a very huge level of bureaucratic process. So paperwork and all of that from between companies and the employees is usually tight. So in all honesty, it might be a bit difficult to get a direct job. One, because the language is officially Portuguese. Two, Europe, that whole Europe first, Portugal first, then you now spread out. But when it comes to like telecommunication jobs and innovation tech, and I think hospitality and tourism, they usually encourage foreigners and international people. So that way, if you can get like into a hub of employees that can give you jobs from, in those zones, then it will be relatively easy for them to, help you get in. Then another opportunity is usually some of the master's program, like the one I'm in, offer internship opportunities in the like fourth semester. So I have 4 semesters of a master's, and then the last semester is a mandatory internship. So you can choose between internship and thesis. And being in Nigeria, I know that I wanted to work, so I went for I went for an internship, and the school kind of enrolls you with the company. So they come at the end of the third semester and they list a number of companies, and they're usually corporate firms, blue collar, that they directly enroll you to, and then your performance will determine whether you'll be retained. Most times there are companies that have like the English oriented counterparts where they know that they communicate with other countries, so they need you to be able to speak English. They need you to be able to be proficient with communication with external people to help them. So it might be very easy for you to go through that route of internship and automatically get retained if you do well, which most Nigerians, die hard
Of course,
workers.
of course.
So I believe if you get that opportunity, that's it. That kind
Okay.
of is automatic.
And what about if you graduate, say you come for a master's, how easy is it to get a job?
Like graduates in Portugal?
Yeah.
It's quite easy because at that point you're already well integrated, right? And it's much more easy than coming in if as a graduate from outside. Once you are able to school here, you can always get a very good opportunity in various sectors. And like I was saying, so telecommunications is a very good place. That there are a bunch of good telecom companies that you can get to work, even if you don't work as a customer service, of course. Then project management is also a very good space. Then architecture is really good as well. So then also finance and insurance also, poses a good opportunity for people. So usually when you are able to finish a master's here, you're kind of in the right path to be able to secure a job.
So
Yeah,
finance,
yeah.
insurance, architecture,
Tech
um, tech. Okay. Okay. That's
and
good.
telecommunications,
And
hospitality.
telecommunications. Okay. Now, can you talk us through what the process is like if you want to apply for a master's in Portugal? Scholarships available. How do people go about it?
Okay, so I'll start with masters. So when you want to take a master's, I assume that if you already know the course you want to take, right? So it might just be as easy as going to Google and searching for Portuguese schools offering this course in English, right? Because they do offer a number of courses in English. And then what you do is when you decide on what course it is, you can do like a filter of schools that offer that course. And then you have to interact well with their web pages. So most times you can only start an application or even get contacts to the school by logging into the school website and creating a profile. So that's usually one of the hardest things. So because most people just think, oh, you go there and you can see information on their webpage. It's not very easy to navigate Portuguese websites, which is very discouraging for a lot of people. But if you can be patient enough to log in and interact with that website and, scroll through, have your profile, get recommendations, that way it'll be easy for you to make those applications. You can see the tuition. And then while in that website again, as well, you can see the scholarship opportunities that are in that website regarding that school. So there are a lot of programs for specific schools and specific courses. Then there is also for the scholarship, general scholarship, there's something called an Erasmus Mundus. So Erasmus Mundus is an European mobility learning program. So they kind of want to encourage, an integration between EU and also international communities outside the EU or Schengen areas. So what they do is for every 4 semesters of the university, you can do those 4 semesters in different countries. You can do it in Poland, Portugal, Germany, Spain, Italy. You spread around, right? And that's something that even as much as Unilag in Nigeria has an application call for. So there's a page. I think I can find a link here in Unilag that actually talks about the Erasmus, program. So you can go through Unilag to get through to the link for the Erasmus, and that way, it's everything there is sponsored. So you get like tickets, accommodation here, residence, everything sorted, and you also get like a monthly allowance. So I had a lot of
Are you
Erasmus.
kidding me right now?
Yeah, no. So I had Erasmus friends. Yeah, I had Erasmus friends. Well, some were from China. And I think I had one from Nigeria, but she was in Porto, which is not in Lisbon. But the ones I knew that were Asian Erasmus, they were living large. So they are here, they are paying their rent, they are paying everything. They're just here for 2 years. And after that, they also got the opportunity to work. So it's kind of like a competitive scholarship program, and they have a list of programs. I can put the link. I don't know if I have it, but I can put it after if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like one of the major scholarship programs. It's called Erasmus Mundus. It's just for international students to come
Okay.
here.
Aside the Erasmus Mundus, is there any other one that you think people can
It will be mostly specific to you checking those schools for
schools?
the exact scholarship
So
or
if you
sponsors that you
wanna
can
if you
get.
wanna advise people 5 schools they can check online in Portugal, what would they be?
Okay, so you have the University of Lisbon. It's called ISEG, ISEG. It's an institute of economics and management. So if you're management, accounts, finance oriented, it's a good place to go for me because they speak English. It's a faculty of mostly English. Even the bachelor program is English and the master's is English. We have some bachelors. Then you have Nova. Nova is one of the top prestigious universities in Portugal. NOVA. They have a business side and they also have the science and technology. And Nova also really promotes that Erasmus thing. So if you go to Nova, you can find, so like I said, if you go to the universities, you can find a list of scholarships. Nova does talk about this Erasmus thing and you can get in through that for for um for for schools for scholarships. Then you now have because now I'm talking inside Lisbon. So Lisbon is the capital, and that's like the central, where things are really expensive and all that. I didn't talk about Portugal cost of living. I'm going to come back to that. Okay. So then you have Minho. Minho is outside Lisbon, University of Minho. They also encourage the Erasmus program,
I
and
beg,
they
how do you
really
spell Minho?
Minho, Minho.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's like northern Portugal, and the cost of living there is even much better than Lisbon. And then you also have ISCTE, ISCTE. That's I think that's a polytechnic. Uh I'm not sure. I can't remember. I'm not very sure. Then you have University of Porto. That's another nice place up north Portugal that is really, really good. And they encourage a lot of engineering programs. So if you're like into engineering, tech, they also have a business section. That would be a good one. So you have Porto. Oh, you got the spelling right. Porto, Minho, Ixte, Nova, and ISEG, ISEG.
Yeah.
ISEG is the faculty of University of Lisbon. So just as a fresh reminder, you have the University of Lisbon with
Okay.
several faculties under. Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Okay, awesome. Now, another question I often get is language requirements. IELTS, is it needed?
Okay, so for Portugal directly, right? Because it's a Portuguese speaking country, the requirement for IELTS is not paramount, right? It's not like you have to have IELTS. I did not have IELTS. I just ticked one small box that said I speak English B2 and above, which worked for me or something like that. But if you're going for the scholarship programs, because something like that Erasmus usually spans across multiple countries in Europe, you have to have TOEFL or IELTS 6 above. So for that, you would need an IELTS.
Okay. And is it compulsory you have to learn the language after you graduate?
Well, okay. So because you can, after getting your PR, you can get a citizenship in Portugal. You would have to know Portuguese to pass the exam that makes you eligible for citizenship. But before that, there
And how
are
many years is that?
5 years for PR, and then you can start processing the citizenship. And then you also have citizenship by birth. So if you have children, it's automatic for them. So after 1 year, I stay. So sorry, your question was about
No,
sorry, can you repeat?
about whether you can learn, you have to learn the Portuguese language.
Ah, yes. So that would be in the case that you want to get to live there and all that. But you for there are a couple of companies that want English speakers, right? Because they have an interaction with external countries, with international communities, and they want to foster that growth in terms of the Portuguese economy. So they try to encourage the English environment as well. So there are companies that even despite the fact that it's a Portuguese company, they encourage most of the workers to speak English, so they can all, interact nicely between, what's that word? Including international people and foreigners,
Okay.
So
Another question I often get is whether people can move with their families, to these places. So what does Portugal offer? Can you move with family? And if you're, say, about 40 years of age, would you still be eligible to come study in Portugal?
Oh yeah, so yes. So first of all, Portugal life expectancy is about 85. It has a really good life expectancy. So you can build that you're still young relatively. So moving with family, yes, there's something called the family reunification visa, which I think most countries should have. So what I am familiar or what I know off the top of my head is that one person moves and then relocates their family. So you might have a plan or like a short-term plan to just get in and process stability for yourself in terms of residency, eligibility, and a bunch of things like that. And then family reunification is by right. Even if you're a student, you bring your family, they're your family, they bear your name, you take care of them, you know, that is a standard. It's a thing. So yeah, you can move your immediate nuclear family, your husband, your wife, your kids, and then you can also move in your parents as long as you bear the same name. So yes, there's an opportunity for families.
Awesome. Awesome. Guys, if you have questions for her, please just, type your questions and I will ask her as she's drinking her water now. So, Portugal, you don't need to write IELTS. You can bring in your family. You can work towards residency for 5 years. What's the fee like? An average cost of the fee?
Yeah. Okay, so because Portugal is an affordable economy, the cost of living is amazing. Fees are also very good. So I'd say if you range between 6,000 to 15,000, but that 15,000 is even high. Let's just say 6 to 12,000 for 2 years. So I mean, if you're paying 6,000, that's 3,000 per year.
Oh,
Um,
really? So
yeah,
3,000 per year.
yes.
Good.
So if you check a master's portal, the average you see there will be 4, 5, or 6K for an international student. For the students, they pay about 1K.
Wow.
So yeah,
Well,
it's really
let me
affordable.
just quickly say this. So someone is saying it seems it's all about school. Kelvin, it's not all about school. But you see, we always say that the easiest way to migrate is academics. Unfortunately, that one is jackpot, easy access. No, there's not a lot of, you know,
Process.
it's so smooth. The process is smooth. The other way is to get someone to sponsor you, which she mentioned. You can get a job to sponsor your visa, give you a job, an employer sponsors your visa, and you come. So if you can look for jobs and a sponsor that's willing to give you that visa, then you come. But remember that before that sponsor would get you visa, it would have found someone who lives in Portugal, who is Portuguese, before they consider you. So you must have exceptional skill. You must be like Superman or Batman or Aquaman for them to give you that opportunity. You understand what I mean? So academics is the easiest route. Or if you find the girl who's Portuguese and you get married to her, that's another way to come in. I don't know how you're gonna do that anyway. Maybe yeah. So that's why it seems as if we're always talking about academics all the time. Someone has asked, what websites can someone apply for jobs, especially tech jobs outside Portugal? Also, you didn't get to talk about the cost of living.
Yeah. Okay. So I can talk about, I'll answer that question, but I'm just going to quickly run around the cost of living because of other people that might have interest. So Portugal is a sweet retirement country. Like the cost of living is amazing in the sense that for me, I didn't have to budget much more than my school fees in a year for a year. So they have really affordable homes, really good transportation system that you pay. I mean, like TFare, you only get to pay 30 euros for a month and it takes you everywhere on boats, trams, trains, buses. You just keep going, no stress. Then housing is also very affordable. So although affordable is relative, but if you compare it to other European countries, Portugal actually, has that advantage of being one of the cheapest countries. So I don't know if you want numbers. I could share one or two.
Yeah, but
So like you can get like as a student you'd be looking at getting a room, right? And or a hostel. Well, maybe not a hostel. You can be working with like 350, 300 euros. Yeah, max maybe 400 euros. You have a convenient lifestyle as a student. Yes. And then even most times some schools offer some accommodation opportunities. It might not be the best or the most luxurious, but you can pay as little as 180 euros for that accommodation. So it really depends on where you're coming from. Then when it comes to housing, housing is also generally cheap. Like you want to buy a house, you want to drop 10% or 20% on over mortgage. You're working with houses with like 200K and you're getting a very good space. Although that's a lot, but you
yeah,
get mortgages and you have an opportunity to own something really good with with like backgrounds, farms and greens and everything. You have a full standard livelihood. Yeah, so cost of living is very cheap in Portugal.
yeah. So 3,000 euros per year is not bad at all, at all.
Yeah.
Someone is saying, how much is the proof of funds for visa purposes?
Okay, so usually, sorry, I haven't answered the question on the website, but I'll come back to that. So proof of funds, they don't specify one amount. What they specify is that you have enough to sustain you 6 months in Portugal,
Eh?
right? So
6 months.
6 months. Is that too small, too much?
So most countries will ask you for a year.
Oh no, it's 6 months. You have to have a sustainability for 6 months, yes. And Abby, yeah, I think so, Abby. And then and then you have sitting account balance. This 6 months, Abby. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm mixing everything, but yeah, you have to have proof that you can. Oh, sorry, you're right. It's 6 months sitting account balance, and
Okay.
then you have to have a proof that you can sustain yourself for the year in which you're coming in. And given that you have a low cost of living, you can easily just calculate that and work around that same school fees money. So for me, what I worked around for each year was the same thing with the school fees. So I ensured I had about the school fees price for a year was the same thing with what I budgeted. And if you're which is was pretty good. Like three
Good.
million should do as a Nigerian.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
just
So, what about the websites you were talking about for jobs?
yes. Okay, so you can actually Google Startup Visa Portugal. Yes. So there's this website I have. It's called rni.pt stroke visa. I can put it here. So it's
RN,
RNI, yeah, dot
RNI
PT.
stroke PT.
No, dot PT.
Okay, dot PT, yeah.
Yeah, just put it there. Yeah, rni.pt stroke visa. So what that website does is shows a list of incubators. So for you to come for the startup program, you have to, meet all the startup requirements. You have to have a good business plan. You have to have like, you're ready to come and help us get look for job or get jobs. But when you get here, you get enrolled in an incubator program. So that way, I think once you have an affiliation with that incubator, you can then proceed to starting up like full time. Even if you've had a business going before or you're about to start a business, there is that opportunity. So you can check out that
Why is
website.
it that people don't talk about Portugal? It seems like it's a very nice place to be. 3,000 euros, you get a course for a year. Standard of living is very, very good. You can work as a student, can you?
Yes, you can get 20 hours a month, right? So there's something called a student worker status permit. Once you get into Portugal, you can apply for it, being that you want to support yourself while you're in the country. You're capable, you have strength, So yes, you can work as a student. It's a permit you can get. Standard.
So guys, I'm going to leave this video on the live feed so that I can come back and watch. You can also send DMs to how can they find you on Instagram and Twitter if they have questions?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram as Miriam M. Bello. I think it should be put here. You can check
Let me
Miriam M.
Miriam
Bello.
Miriam M. Bello.
Yes, on Instagram.
Okay.
Yes. Somebody's asking about language barrier. Okay, so I'll come back. Okay, and then you can also find me on Twitter at the MMB underscore.
Okay. The MMB
B underscore.
underscore on
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can ask our questions on Instagram or yeah, you wanted to talk about something now.
Somebody was asking about language barrier. So I
Yeah.
was saying language barrier isn't much of a problem for English speakers. I know everybody believes that Portugal they speak only Portuguese, but yeah, the thing is, a lot of the young people, the millennials, maybe not the boomers, but you won't have much interaction. Millennials downward, they speak English because English is kind of mandatory in their school, so they have to learn English. So you wouldn't have a communication problem at all. There will always be someone to translate and help you go through stuff. Even now, train stations now speak English. When I moved here, that
Yeah.
was not a thing. But now you hear English in train station. When you call, before you won't hear English. This is not even it's recent. And then now when you call the person, do you want to speak in English? Do you want to speak? So they are really coming to terms with the fact that there are a lot of English speakers. So language barrier is not a problem for the one my
All right, thank you very much. We've been speaking for the last 30 minutes about moving to Portugal. Guys, Portugal is one European country that people have kept secret for a long while now. Standard of living is very good. You probably need about 3,000 euros per semester if you're working towards getting a master's degree in Portugal. You don't need IELTS. You can move with your family, and the process is smooth. She has explained all that to us. Um, Someone is asking, what if I want to do a PhD in Portugal? Would it be through the same route as the master's program?
Okay, so I think there's a room for PhD scholarship programs, like a research program. It's pretty much like the masters. You can get an opportunity if you check those. So if you just check studyportal.eu, study portal,
Study.
I'll come to that. Studyportal.or.com. I think it's you could find, but yes, there are PhD opportunities in Portugal, to be honest. So you have an opportunity there. Applications usually open, I'd say November. Somebody is asking, sorry,
Yeah.
from November to April. But they usually advise African students because of the visa process, might sometimes take long to finish and round up as a January, February. So you can have enough time to process your visa because you indeed have to have some requirements and some validations in Ministry of Education and Foreign Affairs with your documents before you can apply. So you have to start early with the application.
Bala, one needs to live in Portugal for 5 years to become a citizen. Someone is asking, what about persons in the medical line, pharmacy, for example? Do you know?
So the thing about medicine is it usually comes with a lot of interaction and communication. And then because the healthcare in Portugal is very accessible, anybody and everybody gets to go to the hospital free of charge. So they would need someone that does speak Portuguese because you have to be interacting with a lot of people, the adults, the young people. So it might not be that easy to get into the medical environment for the Portuguese system, which
Okay. And what are the documents? We forgot to mention what documents are needed when you're making applications.
okay, so you need your transcripts, or what's it called? Dashboard for your courses, which shows that you're eligible to apply for that master's. You need your CV. You need your no English test. Most times, directly to Portugal, no English test. You need a letter of motivation, which we all know. What else do you need? What else do you need?
Your passport, of course.
Of course. Yes, your passport. You do need your passport. Then
What
I think
about
that's mostly
WAEC,
all.
or do you need to show WAEC or something like that?
Well, okay, so it depends. If you're going for a master's, you can show your bachelor's, which is your transcript. But if you're going for a bachelor's program, yes, you will need to show your work, and I think that needs to be evaluated. So most times to get into bachelor's in Portugal, you have to write an exam.
Okay.
You have to write an entrance exam that is Portuguese oriented. So I'm not very familiar with that process, to be honest.
Okay.
But for masters, you need your BSc certificates, your transcripts, your CV, just and then letter of motivation. Your CV doesn't have to be so professional. Yeah, entry. You are not coming for work. You will
Yeah.
learn. So, but those are the three main things you
What
need.
about this? Do they accept 2-2 and HND holders?
Do they accept?
2-2 if your CGPA is 2-2 and if you have an HND, would you be accepted?
I'm not very sure, but from what my experience, they usually they're quite they're very strong on good, very strong, you know. So when you check, they usually say you should have 3.0 out of 4,
Mm,
which I'd assume, I mean, that's 75%.
yeah.
So that's what I mostly see. So I think I can't say for sure. You can maybe see that on.
What about HND holders? Do you know if they accept them?
Yes, I think they do.
Italy and
Yes.
France
Yes.
do.
Yes. Most of the schools, what they do is they just look at what you have done in terms of curriculum.
Mm,
So if your curriculum matches what you're about to do,
mm.
then you should automatically be able to get in. So sometimes it's even possible to look at a transcript, you see the course and they see your grade, as opposed to looking at your total grade, which might be where a 3.0 can get in. So they see your grade for each curriculum and course, and then they can evaluate you based on the specific grades that you need as a
Wow.
prerequisite.
Wow. Look, it's been fun having this chat with you guys. I'm going to put this on my feed. It's also going to be on my YouTube channel, Wakawaka Doctor. You can find me on all social media platforms. It's Wakawaka Doctor, your one and only. We'll be talking about moving to Portugal, and it seems very seamless and easy. So what's your excuse? Thank you very much for coming to talk to us. I hope that we can do this some other time when you have the opportunity. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Have a nice day. Bye.